Today we're going to talk about how Poshmark, eBay, whatnot, and any other live platform, and many other platforms that you might sell on as a third-party participant, you are technically not a business. You do get a 1099-K, and the first thing that people say is, well, if it's not a business, then why do I have to claim taxes on it? I didn't say you didn't make money off of it. I said you weren't a business. If you were a real business, you would be able to call the shots. You'd be able to, do business with who you wanted to, and you'd be able to articulate the rules and the terms and the conditions of each dealing or each particular job or each business dealing with an individual or a corporation or what have you, depending on what kind of business you have. And in my scenario that I'm talking about right now is that someone that mows your yard has more rights and more privilege than you do selling on a third-party platform. If you read the terms and the conditions, and you have to be flexible, you have to abide by the terms and conditions. They want to own what you say, what you do, and how you perform on any other kind of platforms. Like right here. The platforms that I sell on, they could say, hey, look, we don't really want you talking about that anymore. We don't want you to talk about it at all. Don't even say our name. We don't want to be affiliated with your YouTube segment. That's their right. It's also my right to say, fuck you. These are my rights and my opinions, and I live in the United States, and as long as it's free for me to be able to speak what I want to speak, then maybe that's what I want to speak. The words here and on my channel are my own. These are my opinions. These are my reviews. These are my commentaries. Just like you're free to swipe the fuck out if you don't like listening to them. You want a really honest opinion, though. You want somebody that's going to be unbiased and going to give you an unfiltered opinion. That's going to be someone like me. And sometimes the truth really hurts. And sometimes people don't really like that about me. But I don't have a filter. I don't like to have a filter. A world with filters, is a world of dishonesty. Unfortunately, that's the world that we live in today. It's the people that go on to live selling platforms, and for whatever reason, they seem to think that they own the shots. They own their decisions. They own their business. And one day, that could be turned off because of tariffs, because of shipping, relisting, delisting. You've seen this on Poshmark. You go live and you share your bad experience or bad review of a product you bought that you sell on. They are wanting to buy your silence. And some of y'all elect them. I can't tell you how many YouTubers I've seen throughout the years, some of which I don't follow anymore, because they were not truthful. They weren't truthful. What they'd say on camera is not what would match when somebody would ask them about it. So, say you say all these bad things about Poshmark because you're reporting the news, and then all of a sudden Poshmark says, hey, we've noticed you've been speaking a lot about us. We'd prefer you say good things if you're going to speak about us, and if not, we're going to have to remove you from the platform. That has happened several times, and then there'll be a creator that pussyfoots around and removes their content and is like, oh, I can't remove this income because I'm a mom. Because that plays in to the same bullshit story that majority of resellers, especially that are women, that will want to do that. And yes, I say women because some of y'all be like, well, oh my God, what are you talking about? Poshmark is majority female sellers. So it's a mainly female community. I mainly sell to females. I have been working with females since I was little bitty, itty bitty tiny. When I was selling antiques, when I was selling vintage purses, when I was working retail, when I was working in a salon business, I've always worked with ladies. I've managed ladies. I've sold to ladies. I know a lot about ladies. And sometimes I'm more insightful about themselves than they are their own. When I approach a situation like what I'm seeing and what I hear about every fucking day, which is people being disdained about Poshmark because of the shipping, because of the low sales, because of, maybe they can't control the terms of service. This is not a business. eBay is not a business for you. Poshmark is not your business for you. Whatnot is not a business for you. You are just a tenant on a virtual subset of real estate that you go on to, and you could be turned off like that. I know firsthand. That's happened to me twice now. It happened to me on Whatnot, and it also happened to me on Poshmark, because I was willing to speak openly about what I'm speaking to you right here about, is that y'all don't own these platforms. That means that I can be unhappy with the platforms. But yet, if you're unhappy with the platforms and you sell on the platforms, they don't want you to talk. They don't want you to speak. They don't want you to have a voice because You, being someone that is a seller and has had a wide range of experiences, doesn't look good for someone that's a new seller. And that's what majority of these businesses really, really love, is a new seller. Maybe doesn't know what their stuff is worth. New seller that, is willing to take an extra mile for a little bit of a tiny bit of attention. I see this on Whatnot. I've been approached by Whatnot 3 or 4 times after I have actually been banned, because the Fiverr actors that they hire to call people, to get people to come in and participate on their platforms, there wasn't a lot of criteria. When I first was on Whatnot, you had to go through a whole fucking interview that was an hour. You had to show them their interview you had to show them the inventory you had for sale. And at the time, I had tons of inventory because I was in real estate, personal property liquidation. And so I was selling houses upon houses and buildings full of closing businesses that actually happened during COVID. So I was super duper busy. And once I got the opportunity to sell on Whatnot, I jumped on it. I jumped on it with all 2 feet and shit with 2 arms too. I was selling hundreds of items a day. I started in the luxury category. And what I shared was that I didn't really like about the things that were going on around me, that I had been doing this for many years, selling on eBay and in person and running a pawn shop, spot value versus resale value, loan value. I've worked in personal loans, and sales, all kinds of different situations where you see people at their highest and at their lowest, at depth. So I've seen the hoarding aspect of live sales. You think that you're so great at your business that people continue to go to your business because they love you. And what it really is that they don't love you. They love their addiction of buying something and spending it, buying it and spending it. These live shows, once you start to get knee deep into it, if you're smart, you start to realize that the fiends are fiending and they want to spend their money, because live shows are just a lot like gambling. Go to a casino and throw the dice and see exactly what it is you think that you're going to win. And if you don't win the first time, or the second time, then you've lost again, and 3 times thrice now that you've lost. A real gambler keeps on going and keeps on going, and they come back, especially when they start to be talked into being a reseller. That's another thing that I see within these live selling platforms, is it's a new reseller, or new born again reseller. Everybody wants to be a reseller. Everybody wants to be a reseller. And it's very easy to be a reseller. All you got to do is own something and resell it. Those are the terms and conditions of being a reseller, right? Especially on a third party platform. eBay, Etsy, Poshmark, Whatnot. Anybody can be in business tomorrow. There is no criteria, and anything above that is extra. So if you're actually good at it, you take pride in it, you try to make your living into it. Reselling is not a business. Yes, you can make a lot of money reselling and flipping and reselling and flipping. It's not a business. It's a trade more than anything. You are a day trader of personal property versus stocks. Someone else's platform, somebody else's third party. They control everything, not you. A real business is a person that provides maybe a service like lawn care. You call the shots. You decide when you want to mow the lawn. Maybe you don't want to do business with them anymore. You're done because you got the one across the street. I don't want to mow your yard anymore. It's too big. It requires too much gas. And I would prefer you to be a weekly customer, because you use all my gas and you spend all my time by mowing it once every 3 weeks, when you could just mow it every week. And it would take me 10 or 15 minutes to mow. If I take it down to a level where most people will understand, because I've mowed yards, I've made a shitload of money mowing yards. I loved mowing yards. I was probably at my most peace when I was mowing yards, because there's nothing greater than going and making something beautiful that wasn't when you arrived. It's very rewarding. It's really hot, especially here in Oklahoma, but there's nothing like cold hard cash when times are rough. Right now, people that are doing rough, the lawns are still cut. That grass still grows. Gas will go up, gas will go down. There's always going to be somebody that needs to mow that grass. So as long as you're able-bodied and you can handle a lawnmower, you can too. But when you start to participate on eBay or Whatnot or Poshmark, you have to read those terms of services. People just enter into these contracts, which is the terms of service, without a blink. And then they'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe I got charged this. And then there's an advertising fee, and then there's a listing fee, and then I have to pay for shipping. Oh my, now somebody wants to do a return, and this is exactly. This is what you involunteered yourself into participating in when you started selling on, and people can form opinions about you when you're live selling. Imagine going into a live show with a predatory type of way of thinking. You're looking for your prey. So you're going to look through who you think is the easiest one to possibly scam. And people do this. Now, you can do this in a live show way easier than what you could do it in just traditionally listing. Because when you're just traditionally listing, you're going to give them photos, you're going to give them a description, and that is the legally binding contract right there. The listing, the terms of services, it's a A to B, and the C would be the platform. They're going to oversee the entire, transaction. They're going to make a commission. Whereas if you're a live seller, you open yourselves up to so much more liability. A consumer can record you and use that against you for your listing. Someone can take pictures during your live show and actually use that as maybe a rebuttal for a return. Maybe you say something during the listing that you promise, an extra strap, but it doesn't come with a strap, or it does come with a strap, but it's broken and you forget the strap. Now they want to return. They're just aggravated with you. They just want to return. That's a return now on your account. That's going to go into your stats in all of your calculations for how many returns of the year. It could have been avoided. Maybe it was a no-return transaction. Maybe it was like on eBay and it was no returns. But most of these places are no returns. Poshmark is pretty much no returns. You even have to open a case in order to do it. And when the case started happening, you think that y'all were in court over whatever was being sold. In my situation, most of the time I'm selling a high-end bag, and there's a lot of buyer's remorse. People get a bag, they'll get really excited during a show, and then the dopamine's gone when it gets there, and they see that giant empty space in their bank account. And some people are shopping for a purse today, and they're having to barely pay gas tomorrow. That's how it is. And it's just normal. It's how human beings work. It's how the luxury industry is, unfortunately. And these are the luxuries of selling online, is that you have a third party that will oversee it, like eBay, maybe Mercari, Poshmark, whatnot. No returns is how you build a business. I don't know about you, but I built a business on no returns. And when there are returns, that is an issue, especially when you start kind of getting people that want to return a whole bunch of stuff. What if the person has already spent that money? You're in resell, you're in reinvesting. What if you want to return and someone's already spent all that money? People are in that kind of situation because they've just started, or maybe they're using a credit card. I've had lots of people contact me that are buying luxury handbags, or they're buying other resale items like pallets, and they're using a credit card. And what if that stuff doesn't bring them back the money? They're going to be stuck with that debt, stuck with those high interest rates, going to fuck up their credit possibly. These are the kinds of things that I haven't really talked about yet on YouTube, but these are the things that people approach me with on Instagram, on TikTok, people that have watched me sell on Poshmark and whatnot. I've done that to a point to where I am being more selective with my time as far as live sales goes. I have been reselling since the summer of 2022. I started on Whatnot. Then I sold on Poshmark for about a year and a half. And then I've been selling on TikTok Live for about 3 years. I continue to sell on TikTok Live because it is one of the most easiest way to get new organic traffic. I love organic traffic. Another point that I'm going to make about live sales. When you're doing live sales, people are lonely. And if they like your personality, they kind of latch on to you. And sometimes the people who latch are not the people that can afford to buy your products. And people will be like, well, I love to have people in my show. Having people in your show, especially a large group, is not beneficial to you. It's not. The people that are new don't want to get involved. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to bother you. They don't want to distract you. They kind of feel especially if you've got a bunch of people in there that already know you. It's kind of intimidating to say, hey, can I see that so and such as a new person? Because there's so many people in your chat that are just having a conversation either with themselves or with you, because they're like propped up on the lazy boy recliner and they've got their feet up and they're just sitting here drinking a Mai Tai, and they're having a conversation within a show. And the person that's selling the shit is here to make a living. People don't realize that the more you go live, people will latch on. When they latch on, they stay in the show, and they think for whatever reason that if they stay in the show, that's supporting you. And on Poshmark, whatnot, unless they're tipping, promoting the show, that doesn't help the seller. If you're sitting there pushing the like button, that's cute, and it tells, the platforms that, you're liking the show. Wow. Okay, nobody really gives a shit about that. What they want is money. And I don't care how many people, because you'll hear it all the time. It'll be somebody, I'm just lucky to have people in my show Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Lay that shit on there like butter. In their mind, they think that the numbers matter in a show. I have had a $10, $15, $30,000 sale in a show of 5 people. A live show of 5 people. Your TikTok reel can go viral. And you can have 3 million people see it in an evening. And only have 5,000 followers. I would rather have 5,000 people that watch me, know me, that come into my show when they can afford to, than 3 million people in my show at one time. For one, I can't accurately help you if you have that many people in there. I can't ship out that many items. We're going to sell out. It's going to be a problem. I'm not going to see your comments. It's not possible to give you the kind of live show that you might get in the scenario that I'm speaking about, where you own the items, they're not duplicables, you're not selling in multiples, and you are the one that's actually shipping your item. We're talking about live sales for pre-owned items or items that you may have in your possession where, you're shipping them yourself. You might have a team to be able to do this. My point is, to have the best live shows, you don't need a bunch of people in your show. If you're doing an auction that's $1 start, it's good to at least have 2 people, right? Because if you got things that are valuable, you're going to need at least 2 people to play. You need 2 people for an auction. Again, it's not about numbers. This is how a lot of the drama happens, and all the recording and the bullshit and the hatred. And you've got all the people that are like clicks within whatnot, clicks within Poshmark. You've got one dishonest seller that hangs out with all the dishonest sellers. One, just really distasteful seller, all the other distasteful sellers migrate to. It's such a very interesting kind of dialogue and setup of it all. Once you kind of get the dynamic, it's insane of all the stuff that goes on in live sales. Being involved in a hair salon, and everybody gossips around you, and everybody's also still trying to eat off the same dollar that you're bringing in. So imagine working at a Great Clips. Because that's what you are when you're a Poshmark seller, a whatnot seller, an eBay seller. You are a hairstylist at a Great Clips trying to build a business off that. But you don't have any insurance. You don't have any retirement. You don't have any benefits. And even the girls at Great Clips and the dudes at Great Clips, they have benefits. But you don't. Are you getting insurance from eBay? Does Whatnot have insurance plans and compensation plans and retirements built for you? No, they surely don't. So remember that the next time you start bitching about one of these platforms, that the person mowing your yard has more of a business than you do on eBay, because you don't control the platform. You have to change, and they could turn you off. They could literally turn you off like that. Have a great day. Make sure you subscribe. And if you have any comments down below, I'll talk to you soon.